means.
Chris Grice is head of National Seniors Australia, and he says however the funding model is made up, more and more people will need aged care in the near future.
We've just seen the report drop overnight, and I guess we were expecting the report back in December. So I guess we're pretty pleased to see that it's it's now been released. Now we just need to understand from the recommendation what it actually means in terms of the impacts to folk who need to be looked after going forward. Obviously, the contentious part, if you could call it that, is always around the funding piece. But if we're going to have a high-quality system going forward, we need to, as a community, have a conversation about, well, how are we going to pay for it? I know that the government, they're funding about 97% of the aged care system, and so we've got people who are already paying for their own care. But as over 65s are going to double, over 85s are going to triple, and we're also going to see a massive increase of the funding that's required for aged care going forward. There may well be that, and as this report suggests, that some sort of co-contribution from older Australians who have the capacity to pay.
But how much do we know about the details on that, Chris? How much should aged care residents be contributing, and what level of personal funds means that you'll be called upon to pay more?
Yeah, and I guess that's the piece that it now sort of sits in the hands of the government, and as we move towards the federal budget, I guess Treasury and the government, we're sort of just looking over what it actually means is that, what sort of contributions could apply. And from our perspective is that if there are contributions that will apply going forward, that importantly there must be transparency. So people have got to understand, it doesn't matter whether it's personal, individual or the government, there should be transparency as to how money's being spent. And also importantly, there has to be a robust complaint system. And what has not been, I suppose, articulated in overnight and just the conversations I've been having about this particular report is the Aged Care Act. And the Aged Care Act, where basically it meant that there were a number of recommendations from the Royal Commission back to 4 years ago, I should say, that the 1st of July is the deadline around that Aged Care Act. And so there's a little bit of the funding piece as part of the Aged Care Act piece, but it's sort of being looked at separately. So we would have liked and hoped that this report would have been released prior to the close-off for the Aged Care Act submissions, which was last Friday. But it is what it is. And from our perspective, importantly, well, let's get transparency in place, let's get a complaint system in place, and then let's start to talk about what the funding piece looks like, because the community is not going to support those fundamental aspects are not included in the program, and we start to sort of talk about more contributions. Yeah. They're not going to like that. And so the important thing is get this Aged Care Act in July.
Okay, so this is the funding model that's being proposed. But do you think that this scheme is better than the aged care levy that was put forward by the Aged Care Royal Commission?
Well, we supported the levy as well. That was something that National Seniors Australia got behind. We thought that was a sound approach, but clearly that's, as far as the task force is concerned, that's off the table. And so, because we were looking at it sort of in the style of a Medicare style levy. And I know that that in some quarters that's been seen as being controversial because of what's seen as well a younger cohort paying for aged care. But the inevitability is that the younger folk are going to get older and they're going to need aged care as well. So it's we thought that not to dwell on it, but we thought the levy was a sound approach. But clearly, in the report as it's presented, it's not a recommendation. So we'll work with what's proposed, and I guess now let's see what the government has to say. And now it's up to the government to consult with the community, and bring the community along for the journey, I suppose.
Chris Grice, thank you.